Pro Play Games Miami, and we are here with Andrew Calderon, one of our Magic players, and we're here talking about DBZ. We really love DBZ, and Andrew's one of his favorite colors. He's known for red. He doesn't necessarily play red all the times, but it's his favorite color. And even though people were talking a lot about red not being one of the best colors, Andrew feels that his deck is here to shine. Andrew, take it away. Let us know what you think about our deck. Who's your leader, man?
All right. The one way to make red good is Champa. Champa is one of the leaders that lets you draw a card. Pretty much you want to, one of the few times for building a card advantage. Now, the best way to take advantage of Champa is with strong creatures. The ideal one draw for this deck, especially if you're on the draw, is Saiyan Kappa. Now, Champa says when a battle card attacks the leader, if it has 1500 or more attack, you draw the card. So because of that, when you declare attack with Kappa, his trigger can also stack with this one. You decide to do his effect first, taking a damage and giving him plus 10,000 attack and double strike. He will trigger the Champa and you will draw the card. So this will allow you to draw two cards right away from turn 1 if you're on the draw, or from turn 2 if you're on the play. Either way, you're fine in either scenario, but like most decks, you want to be on the play just to be aggressive. And this is an aggressive deck. So ideally, if you want maintaining that strat, the best 2-drop would be Hit. It already has 1500 attack for just 2 mana, so if you're on the play, this is even better because you can't play for turn 1, you can't attack. So turn 2, you already have a beater that can just start drawing you cards crazy.
So before we keep going, let's go over like the main creatures, the hitters of the deck.
Yes.
So let's start from the right over here. I see two types of Champa. What does the 3-drop do?
Now, the Champa, while it can be good for attacking since it will trigger Champa himself, most decks will run him whether or not they're red because he has the power to give one of your creatures double strike, meaning it'll deal 2 damage and give plus 10k. A very vital part if you want to be aggressive is to dealing twice as much damage as you normally would.
Okay, and the 1-drop?
The 1-drop Champa is essentially a way to just gain some card advantage and just some power on the board. It lets you look at your deck look at the top 7 cards of your deck and take a Champa out of it, which is why we have this Champa, which is great to look for. And we have over here the 6-drop super rare Champa, which will blow up your opponent's side of the board, everything that's 1500 or less.
And it's kind of like one of the payoff spells in the deck.
Yes, you have 2 big spells on the deck. This one, and another reason to call this a burn deck, would be one of the few cards in the actual game that can burn your opponent. Lightning fast hit.
Which, as you can see here, he was fortunate enough to get one of our super rares, I guess, and we finished the playset with the other ones.
Now, if it makes it more easier to see, and essentially by playing this on top of our hit for 5 mana, it will deal 2 damage to our opponent, which is a quarter of their life, and by the time it's turn 5, they will probably have 4 or less life.
Something close to that. It gives you a little bit more reach without having to swing, which is great. Now, explain to me the Raging Kappa here, because we know that Kappa's, as you mentioned, are probably our number 1 beater in the deck.
For the beginning of the game.
For the beginning of the game. How good is Raging Kappa? Why only 3?
Essentially, because Saiyan Kappa is so good, more than likely it will die because they will attack it, so they don't have to deal with it anymore. But if it survives, it will have an unbelievable great turn 3 with Raging Kappa. The ability of Raging Kappa is that when you evolve it, you get to untap it. So unlike every other evolve in the game, you can swing with the first version of the creature, deal damage or whatnot, or have them block it, and then evolve on top of it, untap it, and then attack again.
Okay. So almost like an extra combat stuff.
Yes, it is essentially a free damage, which is what you want to do.
And now if we take a look at the bottom row, we have our last creature over here.
Which is just a staple blocker.
Staple blocker. That
you never know when you need to be on the defensive edge. Other than that, it still pumps for 0. It's just a fine creature.
And then we go into some of our non-creature spells.
Now, one of my favorite non-creature spells is Kappa's Awakening. One of the reasons this card is so great is because it pumps for 6,000. Now, you may think 1,000 over 5,000 isn't that big a deal, but it is very critical in this game where ties are in the favor of the attacker. If you're on the aggressive, it means you're going to have to put in more blockers than they would have to a 5k. And on the defense, it's even more amazing when they think that if they're pumping it, they think that your opponent's going to have to use at least 2 cards, and you surprise them by only having to use 1. It is one of the better spells, in my opinion, and you got to love it for that. The other one is Vados' Assistance. Now, most colors have a negate attack, and what's special about this one is that it lets you untap a creature. And this is very important for this deck because of your evolved creatures. By untapping a creature, it makes them unable to be targeted by an attack. So if you have a Raging Kappa on turn 1, on turn 2, and you attack with it, and then they try to attack it to kill it, you can untap it with Vitals and Assistance by negating an attack, and then keep it safe for the next turn of Raging Kappa. This also applies for hit and lightning fast hit, or any Champa and the lightning fast Champa. So, and it's just worthwhile for purposes of just protecting your smaller drops and just getting out tempoing your opponent. The next one, of course, is the free 10k if you have half your life. It's the staple in pretty much every deck for them to have one of their own color. And then you see this non-red card, the only non-red card of the deck, which is a staple for most decks, Songonten, Family of Justice.
Fantastic trick.
It's a fantastic card. It pumps your dude and it kills your opponent's dude. It's a versatile removal spell that everyone runs.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's the red removal, one of the better removals in the game, Assassination Plot.
Kind of like what brought us to this deck to begin with, right?
Now, this means that you can kill all of your opponent's blockers if they have them. Chances are multiple of them, or just multiple of their attackers. Killing 30k worth of creatures is very good for the game. Now, it's not a 4-of because as the aggressive deck, you're going to try to not focus on their creatures so much as their life. But you still want to have this in your deck for when they have creatures that are very difficult to deal with.
Alrighty, this looks like a great deck. Hope to see more. Big shout out, big thank you to Andrew Calderon for taking his time out and showing us his great deck. Pro Play Games, Dragon Ball Super, more to come to you guys.
I played just double Dragoons, 3 of these, just 1 and 1.